Hey, how's it going? My name's Peter and welcome to Stormlad's Speed Series. In this series, we will be doing a Formula 1 My Team series, Formula 1 My Driver, and even maybe a multiplayer series. So as we here get ourselves ready in the game by selecting our avatar, choosing our country, which will be Australia, entering our first name, which will be Peter, and last name Stormlad. We will also be choosing our audio name, which we'll have the pleasure of having Crofty announce and all the other commentators talking to us by, and that will be the Rainmaster. I feel like that kind of had a cool ring to it, considering I'm the Storm Lad, felt a bit stormy. We'll also be choosing our race number. A bit of a backstory to why I chose car number 7. I used to race in real life, and my first ever race car was car number 7. It's now moved on to car 17, and 17 is just kind of stuck, but unfortunately can't choose that in the game as the number's been retired. Selecting a helmet here, I haven't gone for anything too over the top, just a nice pattern I thought would work nicely with the colour scheme of the car, which you will see shortly. A bit of a cool pattern here on this one. I thought I would change it to match kind of the colours, so it's a little bit of a sneak peek to what the car could look like with a bit of a blue and a white colour combo. So, time to start selecting our race suit. Down the track I would like to start doing a few more custom mods for helmets and race suits, etc. Just for this first season I would like to kind of keep it more true to the game, as kind of get at least one season done which is more true to the game. So we're selecting a suit that matches our helmet, and once again going for the same color combo, so then we've got the matching fit, because you always got to have a good look while out driving. Moving forward now with our engine supply, I've skipped the part where we select our team name and title sponsor, as I don't want to be spoiling too much of the surprise when we release the livery and what team we will be running. So we've gone for Red Bull powertrains. They don't have the best performance and they don't have the best durability, but they're second best in performance and second best in durability. So I reckon they'll play to our advantage to try and get some good results in our opening season, as they're a pretty well-rounded engine, and them claiming the Constructors title in the previous season is a pretty good reason to go for their engines, as it is a World Championship winning manufacturer. Now, it's time to select our driver. So, being a Red Bull supported team taking on their engines, we're going to go for a driver out of the Red Bull pool. So we will be selecting Iwasa as being our second driver. Definitely a driver who's in the up and coming ranks in Formula 2 in real life, so hoping that he can bring us some points for the season, and try and help us finish somewhere in the mid-pack. I'm aiming for mid-pack this season. I don't want to be at the rear every single race. We'll be pushing through a lot of R&D this season, I reckon, so it will be important for him to try and get a couple of points, and of course I'll be aiming to get some points as well, and hopefully towards the end of the season being in the points on a regular basis.
New year, new drivers, new team. Welcome and great to have you with us as we move far away from the paddock to the headquarters of the newest outfit on the Formula One grid. We've been granted exclusive access with an interview not just with the team owner or the star driver, but both. Because for the first time in modern F1 history, the team owner is behind the wheel themselves. Now is a great time to bring a new team into the sport, particularly off the back of such compelling competition last year. 2022 saw huge regulation changes, and it was Red Bull who came out on top in the development race. But that was last year. This year could be a very different story. Let me tell you, this facility is an absolute hive of activity, and there is a palpable sense of excitement around the car they've built. Quietly, they truly believe they can challenge at the top, and they've had the time now to craft a hugely competitive race car. But theory is one thing, and taking on the brightest lights in motorsport is quite another. So how does the owner of F1's 11th team feel as they prepare to be thrust into the limelight of the F1 circus? New driver lineups, Qatar returns, Las Vegas debuts, and the engineering race continues to push the sport and the drivers to new heights. What are they aiming for? Most excited about? Most nervous for? Well, soon we will meet them to find out. But first, let's take a look at the brand new car.
And yes, you may have spotted it in some clips with Natalie and on the crew member shirts. Brabham is making a return to Formula One in partnership with Meguiars and Red Bull Racing. Brabham has been absent from Formula One for some time. Brabham was last in the sport when David Brabham, son of Sir Jack Brabham, drove in 1994. Everyone knows the historic story of Sir Jack Brabham winning 3 world championships, and now we want to continue the Brabham name in Formula One. The paint scheme is inspired by the BT50, which was driven by Nelson Piquet and Riccardo Patrese in 1982. We have modernised it to match the 2023 car by adding the Brabham logo to the engine cover, halo and nose cone. Red Bull is found on the front and rear wing, and Red Bull powertrains is on the engine cover as a little dub, and thanks to their engine supplier. And finally, we can't forget to mention our title sponsor, Meguiars, on the side pod, keeping the livery basic, but also, in my opinion, it's looking very sleek. But now it's time to sit down for an interview with Natalie.
Well, hi. Thank you so much for having us. Great to be here. I'm going to start with the question that everyone is asking. It's been a long time since we've seen a team owner drive their own car, and a lot's changed since then. The sport has really evolved. So how are you going to manage the responsibility of doing both roles?
This isn't about just me. This is about my team, and I'm behind them 100%. Together, we can have a very good season for returning the Brabham name to Formula One.
And tell me about your teammate. They're clearly very excited to have signed with you. What do they bring to the team?
It was about finding the right fit for our team. They understand that we're new and appreciate the opportunity we're providing them.
So tell me about the work on the car. It's clearly a blank canvas. You've done a lot. What have you prioritised?
The simulator is one of the most important tools a Formula One team has. The sim data looks good, but we won't know until we actually get out onto the track.
Now, there's no getting away from the fact that your competitors have a huge amount of Formula One experience. You are a total newcomer. Tell us where you see the opportunities to make those vital performance gains.
It's going to be tough. We'll have to get a better picture when we get to the track for our first race.
Now, ultimately, your success this season will be determined by whether you can take positions from other drivers. Where do you believe this car has the edge?
Overtaking is all about power, so we've been working really hard with Red Bull to get every bit of performance out of the power unit.
And with so many disciplines and experts working so closely together here at your HQ, who gets the coveted Teacher's Gold Star? Who are you most proud of as the first race edges ever closer?
Our powertrain department really had to hit the ground running when we took delivery of our engines. They spent a lot of time really understanding the Red Bull package to make sure we maximise everything that we've got. They've done a great job.
Well, I could talk to you all day. Thank you so much for your time, but I better let you get back to work. There's plenty more still to do. All the very best for your inaugural F1 season.
Time to have a look now at our calendar for Season 1 of MyTeam. We're starting off the season in Bahrain before heading to Australia, then Azerbaijan round 3. We're going to all 3 rounds of the USA this year, starting with Miami, and then into Imola, Monaco, Spain, Austria, the UK round 9, Netherlands round 10, Italy round 11, Qatar all new for the F1 23 game. Round 2 in the USA at Texas, Sao Paulo, always a good track to go to, Vegas, and then finishing in Yas Marina.
It's important to use the time between races to the fullest extent, and that's where these activities come in. Manage everyone's time as efficiently as possible to maximise the team's performance.
Alright, so now it is time to get into the nitty-gritties before we head to Bahrain for our first race. As we're now looking at the activity timeline, it is important for us to try and get any acclaim resources, boost our second driver, or up the department morales before heading to this track and starting the big R&D process. As now we look towards having a driver training camp, as I reckon that will be very good for Iwasa to try and get his head into the game, and as you can see there, it definitely does boost his statistics. Up next, we've still got a bit of time, so we've gone for the merchandise sale to try and boost the team's acclaim as well. Going through the emails, There's really not much here. It's just a couple of intros and like just welcome to the team, even though it's our team. Looking now at our R&D, as you can see there, Brabham Meguiars is the second slowest team on the grid above Alpha Tauri. So I reckon where the car was lacking the most was in the chassis department. So doing that upgrade there in the chassis was much needed. Also, it's always good to upgrade your durability. Now just looking through the corporate and standings, as you can see there we are, bottom of the ladder. Fast forwarding time now so we can get towards the Bahrain Grand Prix. We're just going to skip through all of these running costs and all of the upgrades. All the upgrades seem to have gone through absolutely fine, which means that we can just get straight on to having a look at the race weekend. And as we now cut straight into practice 1, we've gone out for our race strategy program, and as you can see, it's actually taken all 5 laps for us to get to the purple target, but we're about 1.5 seconds up on the result lap time that the team wants. And as you can see, after 5 laps of practice, we're currently still sitting P1 ahead of both the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren on a soft tyre as well. So the pace on this medium is actually looking half decent at this current track condition. Just remember that when it comes to both qualifying and the race, it will be nighttime, so the track will be that bit cooler. So maybe the soft tyre will come into a bit more of an effect during that time. And here we are now on our final lap of the tyre wear management program, and as we come here into turn 8, the hairpin, we get a big snap of oversteer on the exit of the corner, which as you can see has put our tyre wear graph right down into the red. And now coming through turn 10, quite a tricky corner as you're turning and braking at the same time. We get another little bit of wheel spin here, which will put the graph back into the red. And now as we go down this third DRS straight actually, into turn 11, now as you can see, we're running a bit wide and we're onto the dirty stuff, and we have a big snap of oversteer and we're heading to the wall and we are out. As you can see, the left front has come completely off the car, and as we sit there waiting for the marshals to come and collect us, we now walk into the garage, and that is definitely not how we needed our first practice session of the season and as Brabham Meguiars Racing to go. As we now look at the tally for how everyone ended up, as you can see, everyone was doing a lot of soft tyre running actually. Myself and Sergio Perez were the 2 highest medium tyre runner finishers. We are 3/10 off the Red Bull on the medium tyre of Perez, which I think isn't too bad considering that was only a practice 1, and being 1 second off the pace of Max Verstappen on the soft tyres, also a pretty good thing to see. As you look down the tally there, you can see Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, the top 3, so the Ferrari and Red Bulls are looking both pretty good. Both Mercedes are also up there. The Alpines are in the top 10 as well, so the Alpines could be quite a force to be reckoned with this season. Lance Stroll and the Aston Martin, which is quite surprising considering in real life it's been Fernando Alonso that's really kicked off with the Aston Martin. Valtteri Bottas is there in P11, Yuki Tsunoda, another Red Bull driver in P12, Alex Albon P13, that's kind of where you expect a Williams to be, who also did a soft tyre run. Lando Norris in McLaren in P14. Remember in real life, their Bahrain Grand Prix was absolutely horrendous, with Lando Norris finishing last and Oscar Piastri not finishing the race. So them being mid-pack isn't too unexpected. Here we are now, it's qualifying time, and as we come through turn 13, we actually run really wide, and that's going to give us a really bad run down this back straight towards the final corner, turn 15 and 14. Don't remember, it's a double corner. Coming onto the straight now, as you can see, no big issues there, nice and early onto the power, and as we hit the DRS zone, we're going to come to the end of our first qualifying lap, and it puts us P7, which isn't too bad. And as we now go on to the end of our second qualifying lap, we went out, as you can see now, we've actually been dropped all the way down to P20, so other people have just been putting in faster and faster laps, and as we can see, we actually got turn 13 correct that time, so we've gone up to 6/10 better than the previous lap. But coming onto this corner now, we get a a lot of oversteer on the back of that corner, which has given us a terrible run, which only actually puts us up to P17. So we've had to come out for a third qualifying lap in this first session. That's 3 sets of tyres gone within the first session, which is not a good sign, knowing that we could possibly be into Q2 and into Q3. So we're now currently P19, which is not good enough for Q2. So now coming into turn 14 and 15, we are currently 7/10 up on our best lap. We actually get through there with no oversteer, and look how much time we've actually gained after that. We've gone from 7/10 to nearly 1.1 seconds up, and that actually puts us up to P7. P7's a really good lap for us at the moment, considering we're considered to be the second worst car on the grid. So as we can now come and have a look at the standings, you can see there Perez was provisional fastest. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz once again proving that those Ferraris are nice and fast. Max Verstappen only P5, but again, it's not Q3, so I don't think he'll be very upset with that. Here we are now, it's qualifying 2. We're currently sitting P7, even though we actually haven't set a lap. We're coming through turn 11, which is the corner that, remember, we crashed on during practice, which ended our P1 session early. Now, coming into the final sector, you can see that Carlos Sainz has actually set the fastest lap of the session so far. Just letting you know around the pixelation as well on the halo, that has been fixed for future episodes. I think there's one more episode and that is a little bit visible from, but this episode was just filmed a bit more towards the release of the game, so there's a few more bugs around this time. And that puts us P8, but obviously we've now been shuffled down to last position, so we've had to come out for a second lap in qualifying. And as you can see, we're currently 7/10 up on our previous lap, which should be a healthy margin. As you can see, we're actually 3/10 up on Zhou Guan Yu, which hopefully is enough to put us inside the top 10 coming onto the back straight heading towards turn 14. And as you can see, we're still maintaining that 7/10. We're losing a little bit, which means that we just had a bit more of a bad run out of turn 13. So coming onto the front straight now, hitting the DRS zone nice and early. And that does puts us P8. That's into Q3 at the moment, but there is still 4.5 minutes left. So as you can see, we're actually going to turn off the ERS, try and build up some battery, and go for another lap. And as you can see now, 2 laps later, it's actually taken us 2 laps to build up enough ERS. So now we're going for a final flying lap, and this has to be the final flying lap. And all we're really hoping to do is just try and make our lap time a little bit better to try and solidify ourselves inside that top 10. And as you can see now, we're going through the final sections. We're actually half a second down. The tyres aren't doing very well. And as we get a big snap there, coming out of turn 7, and we're now just going to back it off. There's no point us crashing the car and creating a bigger damage bill. So we end the session. We actually do get bumped out of Q3. We end up finishing P12, 1.3 seconds off Lewis Hamilton, who is provisional fastest in front of Sergio Perez. So maybe Max Verstappen is just having a bad day in the office. He's now finished behind Sergio Perez in both Q1 and Q2. Oscar Piastri, Valtteri Bottas, and Pierre Gasly are also knocked out alongside of me. And as you can see, both Aston Martins make it through to Q3. The McLaren of Lando Norris makes it through. The Alpine of Esteban Ocon. Both Ferraris, both Mercedes, and both Red Bulls also through.
This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. Formula One returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36-mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities, and it could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakhir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, the Rainmaster, Bottas, Gasly, Magnussen, Zhou, Tsunoda, Sargent, Norris, Albon, Iwasa, Hulkenberg, and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Well, here we are. It is our first race of our MyTeam series. As we here look at our race strategy, we're not going to really mess around too much with the fuel situation because we're not too sure how we'll perform in a much more of a long run. And our strategy is going to be from medium to hard. From practice, we had decent pace on the mediums. Never actually really got a chance to have a go on the hard tyre. So it'll be really interesting to know how we'll go on that hard tyre. For the formation lap, we're just going to skip it straight ahead all the way to right at the end. As you can see, the tyres are nice and toasty. We were in the low 90s on the rear and high 80s on the front, so that's really just about ideal for tyre temperatures on the medium tyre. And as we're just going to line it up here nice and close into the front, look at that, 3 meters away, purple start up as we get ready for the first 5 red lights of this series. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, and it's 5 lights, and we're away for our MyTeam series. It's a good start. Piastri actually gets a horrific start. We're all in the slipstream now. We're gaining on the main pack, and as we actually send it a bit way too deep, and we go all the way onto the inside of Russell, make quite a bit of contact, and definitely sent it too far into the corner as we were expecting, but we made it work. We haven't gotten ourselves any damage from this, and as you can see there, Perez is actually attacking us back, and so is the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll is showing his nose here, and we're going to stay side by side as we start going through the S's in the first sector, but we hang it around the outside to keep the position as we go into the turn 8 hairpin, heading back up the hill to turn 9 and turn 10. So, it was a good start. I definitely didn't expect to go into the corner that quickly. But as we now come onto the back straight, I reckon we'll be swamped here. This car has been struggling quite a bit in a straight line. So, I would expect Lance Stroll to start coming after us. And there he goes. He's going up the inside. We're not really going to defend much here. We're just going to run our own race. Expectations aren't really that high. And now that I'm in the points, I'd love to finish in the points, try and maintain this 8th position. The Alpine is traditionally known for its straight line speed, so I don't think I've got much hope while there's no DRS here to be able to maintain this PA, and as Ocon goes by us there, and then behind us is the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen though leads away from the 2 Ferraris as we actually do get a little bit of a slipstream. But look at the straight line of that Alpine, and then Lewis Hamilton, the Mercedes, comes flying by, and he might get the Alpine of Ocon as well. Hamilton's actually looking around the outside of Ocon here, which of course turns back into the inside. There might have been a little bit of contact there as Hamilton gets a bit of a wiggle. We're going to look to see as we get the run on them. We're going to get the run on both of them actually. And as Ocon now sends it up the inside, there might have been another little bit of contact. Ocon gives Hamilton the squeeze, but he keeps his nose there. And now Hamilton's going to look to go around the outside of Ocon, and that, of course, slows up Ocon. We are now going to have a look down the inside, but think better of it. As we now come out of the hairpin and just sit behind, and we're going to try and see if we can't use these guys to try and maintain, because I reckon we've got the better pace over Zhou. But we make a mistake. We've caught the curb, and we've gone wide, and there it goes. Look at all the positions that we've just lost. The 14th. 15th, we're in 15th and we're behind Logan Sargent, and now the McLarens are now going to swamp us as well. We got Norris directly behind us, and Piastri is looking to go up the inside of us and gets the pass done. So that there is a really costly mistake. We could have actually possibly maintained points as we now go further ahead. This is now lap 3, and as you can see there's an Alfa Romeo up ahead. Must be Valtteri Bottas who's up ahead, and he is slowing down this entire pack. No, it's not. It's Zhou. It's Zhou who's all the way up there, and he's slowing down the pack, which has given us a great opportunity to try and get past Piastri. Piastri's starting to go a little bit defensive as he must feel a little bit vulnerable, so we'll stick our nose around the outside, and we'll get the better grip, and we'll actually just drive by. We'll have to use the next corner here to try and finish off the job as we give him a little bit of a squeeze. And now as we head onto the back straight, our eyes will be onto Logan Sargent to try and catch him and start making our way back through the field. Looking ahead now, this is George Russell. He's making a move on Fernando Alonso. This is for P4. They go into the first corner side by side, and of course now Russell, who was on the outside, will now get the inside line. And he squeezes out Fernando Alonso to try and get the pass. But DRS has also been enabled, so that means Russell's got a chance to come back. And they go side by side. And this also brings Perez into the battle too. Fernando Alonso stays ahead for now, but as you can see, it's now a 3-car train. Alonso from Russell from Perez, and this could get quite dicey as the inevitably faster Red Bull will be trying to get past. It's the end of lap 5 now. Let's do an order check. So it's Verstappen from the 2 Ferraris to Sainz and Leclerc. That makes your podium at the moment. You've got Fernando Alonso, then Russell, Perez, Stroll. Then Hamilton and Ocon is in the final paying position, and he's leading the other Alpine of Pierre Gasly. And you've got the 2 Alphas of Zhou and Bottas. Magnussen, Sargent, ourselves in P15 after we had a pretty good start and then obviously made that mistake. Lando Norris leading the other McLaren of Piastri in 16th and 17th. Hulkenberg in 18th, Snowden 19th. And then at the back of the pack, you got Albon and the Williams. Our teammate Iwasa, who's currently sitting P19, and then De Vries is currently last for the AlphaTauri team. Now, looking ahead here, we're now onto lap 5, and as you can see, we've still got the 2 McLarens sitting closely behind us. I think we've got just enough straight line speed to try and keep them at bay. Unfortunately, we're not within DRS of Logan Sargent, though, so we don't have DRS to try and hold our defense. And as you can see, Lando Norris now just goes flying past. There's not much we can do about that, as we now just tuck in behind him. We're going to hope that we can now use his DRS to try and close into Logan Sargent, as I'm sure his soft tyres will soon want to start wearing away. And again, as we now fast forward to lap 6, now it's Piastri's turn to get it past us. Our straight line speed is really struggling, but we send it back around the outside as Piastri kind of clinches himself up there on the apex of the corner. Kind of made the corner a bit too tight for him. But the DRS is just going to... Actually, no, he doesn't even have DRS. We've got DRS. And even us having DRS is not enough straight line speed for us to defend Piastri. Looking ahead now, this is Lewis Hamilton getting past Lance Stroll. And he should get this one done pretty easily. Unless Stroll can... Yeah, Stroll leaves it around the outside, which of course turns into the inside. But ultimately, Lewis Hamilton will keep the position unless Lance Stroll can attack him again with DRS, which he does. Lance Stroll is now going back up the inside. Lewis Hamilton tries to hang it around the outside and gets a little bit of a tail wiggle, but he's still hanging around there. Will he be able to keep it around the outside? And he does. Actually, no, Stroll comes back around the outside. This is amazing. They've gone pretty much the entire first sector side by side. Eventually, one of these two has got to give when it comes to turn 10, as the AI usually struggle to go around here side by side. But no, they stay side by side. And Stroll ultimately, though, gets the better exit and has DRS to aid him down this third DRS straight. Hamilton tucks in behind going into the final sector. Fast forward again, and we're now looking at Perez versus Alonso. And surely the straight line speed of the Red Bull should get past Alonso pretty quickly, and he does. That's a pretty easy move into turn 1 for the Mexican. Fernando Alonso will have the aid of DRS though on the way back. As we cut back to our POV now, as you can see, we're actually quite close to Piastri. This is probably the closest we've been for quite a few laps. Ever since he passed us, he's kind of been hanging around the 8/10th mark, but we've managed to bring him back to about 2/10. And now surely, with the power of the slipstream and being this close to him, we should be able to get down the inside. As you can see, even with DRS and the battery on, we were only just about to match his pace. We run quite a bit deep actually into turn, which compromised our exit a little bit, but hopefully it's still enough, even with the aid of DRS. And look at that, we've already pulled an 8/10th gap onto Piastri. He must have just had a shocker. And as you can see now, a little bit further along the track, we're still currently P16, although we have a moment. We have a big tank slapper, and as we now awkwardly try to get back onto the track, and Hulkenberg's hit us. Hulkenberg has hit us, and we've now got a rear left puncture. And it's brought out the virtual safety car. So now we're going to have to try and limp this back, and this is definitely going to create our pit stop a lot earlier than we were probably expecting. I was probably looking to go to about lap 18 on the medium tyres. But as you can see now, we're currently three-wheeling it back to the pits, and Hulkenberg is out. So our first DNF of the season is Nico Hulkenberg after he rear-ends us. And I must say, after it happened and I was three-wheeling it back, it did feel like a little bit of an awkward rejoin. As we look at the slow-mo now, you can really see how sideways the car got. And then we just overcorrected, and that just speared us all the way back off the circuit, and we had to try and climb ourselves back over the curb. But I didn't realise Hulkenberg was that close, and as you can see, he was going for the racing line, and we just jumped back onto the track in front of him, and he just rear-ended us. Although I'd feel like at this stage you would think he would start turning away, which he does, and then he starts driving back towards us. So I feel like ultimately the blame is on us there. So fair enough, we got the penalty for that. But at the same time, Hulkenberg just kept turning into us. So this is a view from Piastri, and yeah, as you can see, he's probably laughing inside his helmet, thinking, "Oh yeah, 2 positions for 1." As we now come into the pits, it took us a long time to get back to the pits, even though we were 2 corners away. And to make matters even worse, we have to sit here and wait for that penalty to get done. So an alright pit stop, 2.5 seconds once the penalty had been cleared. No front wing change, just needed to get that left rear change. And as we rejoin the track, we're now in 21st and we're 37 seconds off of Nick de Vries. And as you can see, once we get up to green flag, we've actually dropped to 38 seconds, although that is quickly dropping down. Now, this is Russell versus Alonso. Alonso's had quite a few battles, actually, today with the Mercedes. And after he's been dispatched by the Red Bull of Perez, he's actually started to drop back a little bit. And as you saw just before, Perez is currently moved up into 3rd place. As Leclerc is actually in the pits. I wonder if this is a part of strategy, if he's got a bit of damage. I don't see any damage, but I guess he's already done the pit stop. And by the looks of it, other cars are actually coming to the pit. So this must be the first round of pit stops for the AI. So I think they're going for a bit of a shorter stint on their medium tyres, because I don't think Leclerc was on the softs. Sargent was definitely on the softs. So that's pretty interesting that he's coming. Now the safety car's out. Safety car is out. Why didn't this come out only a few laps ago? We could have got a free pit stop even though we were on 3 wheels. No one's come up saying that they've DNF, so I'd like to know why the safety car's come out. It might just be for a bit of debris that they have to send a marshal out on track for, as we now pass the safety car. And, oh, that was a bit closer than I was expecting. I didn't expect the safety car to keep going for the racing line, so that could have very nearly been a crash with the safety car. So very lucky that as a Formula 1 car we were able to get on the power a bit quicker to try and avoid contact with the car. And that's the reason why the safety car is out. Yuki Tsunoda went for a spin at turn 3 and it just created a bit of a traffic jam. This is on board with Iwasa, who at the time was in P17. And as you can see, Yuki Tsunoda then awkwardly was reversing off the track. Probably should have just stayed still and everyone could have got around him. While we're under safety car, we'll do an order check. So Verstappen leads the 2 Ferraris, Leclerc and Sainz. Perez P4, Russell P5. The 2 Aston Martins of Alonso and Stroll. Ocon in 8th, Hamilton P9. Gasly's P10. Valtteri Bottas 11th. Norris, Magnussen, Zhou, Sargent's up in 15th, Piastri, Albon, De Vries, our teammate leads us in 19th and 20th, and then Tsunoda and Hulkenberg is the only DNF at the moment. The 2 Alfa Romeos are actually doing really well. They're not inside the points at the moment, but they're 11th and 14th, which, for a team so far this season in real life that hasn't been the best car, this is a pretty good result for them, even in the virtual world. Now, as we prepare to start racing again on the safety car restart, we actually have a pretty horrific safety car restart. And look at that, we're already nearly half a second off of our teammate. And I reckon they'll quickly go to over 5 tenths. There it is. It's 6 tenths to our teammate. But we've learnt from lap 1. We're able to send it on quite a few cars actually without making contact this time. So we immediately jump ourselves back P17, and we're now back behind Piastri. So we're not too far off from where we were now. Before the contact with Hulkenberg. So this safety car's kind of played out into our hands a little bit. Skipping forward now, as we can see, we use all the exit on the curb, trying to get any sort of slipstream we can off Piastri to try and maintain our position. And we're going to actually send it down the inside. That was a very late move, but we got it done. very opportunistic as we just try to make use of these hard tyres. And these hard tyres are actually working really well in this car. The hard tyres are just making this car come to life. We've got so much more pace on everyone else. As you can see, Albon and Piastri are now going at it behind us. As you can see, it didn't take too long for us to close up to Logan Sargent, so I reckon we could probably dispatch Logan Sargent pretty quickly, even though the Williams is rated as a faster car than the Brabham. And then, as you can see, Magnussen and Zhou, they're not looking too great either, and I reckon they're both on the hard tyres, so I thought they would have been a bit faster than us. But now we actually, with the power of slipstream, we get up next to Sargent, but not quite. He comes back onto the racing line. So we're looking to try and use DRS, as DRS should be activated, I reckon, by now. Which it actually isn't. Now it is. We're a lap too early to get the assistance of DRS, but we'll still try and use the slipstream and go around the outside of Logan Sargent. There it is. And now that obviously becomes the inside, which finished the move for us. And now that DRS is enabled, even though we're ahead of Sargent, we still get DRS as we're behind him at the activation point. And now looking ahead with Sainz versus Perez. So now Perez is actually on the move here. He's trying to get past Carlos Sainz to gain that final podium position. But Sainz has a much better run around the outside. And this could actually leave Perez vulnerable to Russell here. Russell's got a much better exit. But the straight line of that Red Bull just pulls Perez back past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. As Perez now sends it down the inside, can Sainz keep it around? No, he quite just can't keep it there. Fast forwarding a little bit further along the lap now. It is Carlos Sainz now holding up George Russell, as George Russell sends it on him. And now Alonso's been brought into this party, so is Lance Stroll. So Carlos Sainz is actually really struggling on pace on these hard tyres. Like, he is tumbling, as there's a little bit of contact actually there between Russell and Sainz. But as you can see, the Ferrari's just got no pace whatsoever. Russell doesn't even have DRS. And he's able just to drive by the Ferrari. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Aston Martins don't take too long to dispatch him either. And there you go, Alonso's already got by Carlos Sainz. And so Lance Stroll will be probably licking his lips at the moment, watching his teammate do just that. And as I say that, Lance Stroll is now pulling up alongside Carlos Sainz. And I would imagine we'll get the job done around the outside with how much grip the Aston, any other car really, has got against the Ferrari. And there he goes, Lance Stroll is now ahead. And within that lap, Sainz has lost position to Perez, Russell, Alonso, and Lance Stroll in the one lap. As Stroll's actually had quite a bit of a lockup there. I couldn't tell if that was a rear or a front lockup, but the car didn't look very settled during the braking zone there. As we cut back to our POV, and as you can see, where it's still in P15 trying to chase down Zhou Guanyu, it's actually taken a lot longer. And the team's actually wanting us to do a two-stop. They want us to pit for a soft tyre. But I'm kind of liking the pace of this hard tyre. I really want to stay out on the hard tyre. I don't think with the deficit of a pitting and then having the faster soft tyre would make any use. As we see now, Hamilton now has his go at getting past Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz, at this rate, because he's got the two Alpines and Lando Norris right there as well, Carlos Sainz could be out of the points in Bahrain, which would be an absolutely terrible result considering Leclerc is actually hanging onto the back of Max Verstappen, only 1.3 seconds off the lead. And now, as you can see, we're actually much closer now to Zhou. So we should be able to make a move into turn 1. But Zhou will have the power of DRS as he's still within a second of Kevin Magnussen. And so, yeah, as you can see, Zhou's just pulling away so much. But we're actually really strong under the brakes, so we should be able to make something work here. As we do, we send it from so far back to get past Zhou Guanyu. And now, we should still have DRS because Zhou was within 1 second. And as you can see, there's a yellow flag. What's the yellow flag for? There's a McLaren going slow. There's a McLaren going slow. And is that Lando Norris? It is. It's Lando Norris is going slow. And that looked like he had an engine failure. I saw a bit of engine smoke coming out of the back of that car. So I wonder if that'll cause a safety car. Because if we have a safety car at the moment with this pace we've got in the hard tyre, that could actually get us back into the points. And here, as you can see, Lando Norris was just going about his day trying to chase down the cars in front and the engine lets go. Really a shame for the McLaren. and team, they were showing pretty good pace. Piastri was still outside the points, but Lando Norris was in contention to possibly get some points for the team. And as you can see, as I said just a few laps ago, Carlos Sainz, he could be under attack here by the Alpines, and sure enough he is. Esteban Ocon now goes down the inside, but watch out for Gasly here, because he could get them both here, and he will. He's going to pull alongside his teammate, who doesn't have DRS, as he had already passed Carlos before the DRS detection point. And now Carlos will probably want to try and get back down the inside, and he does. So will Ocon be able to stay around? He does. And Ocon should also have DRS to help aid his defense here, which he will. So Ocon and Gasly both get by Carlos Sainz. Now Carlos Sainz has only got 1 second to Valtteri Bottas if he wants to keep these points. And as I say that, Valtteri Bottas is now passing Carlos Sainz, and Sainz is out of the points. This is an absolute disaster for Carlos and Ferrari. They've got one car just hanging on with the Red Bull, losing time to the Red Bull, but hanging on in second. And then you got the other one being overtaken by the Alfa Romeo. Back to us now. As you can see, Kevin Magnussen, another Ferrari customer car, is passing Carlos Sainz, and Sainz is now down to P12. And then with Sainz's bad run out the corner, we want to capitalise on this, and we're going to try and go around the outside with the aid of DRS as well. And we're going to send it late on the brakes, just run wide of the apex, because the indicator was saying that his nose was still just there, so we didn't want to turn down in on him. And we get the position on Carlos Sainz, which now puts us up to P12. And you know what? I genuinely do think points could be on the card here, as we now cut a couple of laps later, and we're onto the back of Kevin Magnussen. And there is a yellow flag ahead. What's the yellow flag for? And it's a safety car. This changes everything. Lance Stroll has gone for a spin at the hairpin of turn 8. So, should I risk it and try and go for a stop? I don't want to, but it could work. And as you can see, Lance Stroll just gets on the gas a bit too early and loops it. So with a couple of laps to go, here's an order check. Verstappen from McLaren, Perez, that's your podium. Alonso, the two Mercedes are Russell and Lewis Hamilton. The two Alpines are Gasly and Ocon. Valtteri Bottas in P9 in the Alfa Romeo. Kevin Magnussen P10 for Haas. Ourselves in 11th. Zhou. Sainz in disaster class in 13th. Piastri, the two Williams, Sargent and Albon. De Vries, our teammate Iwasa. Tsunoda, and then Norris and Hulkenberg are both DNF'd. And Lance Stroll was actually disqualified from that spin, so I wonder if the game just thought he was stationary for too long and gave him the big black flag for that. So as you can see, we actually get a really good start, but we've had to back off from it, because I reckon we probably would have passed Kevin before the start-finish line, and that would have been an illegal overtake. So better to play it safe by backing off. And as you can see, just like the last safety car restart, we send it down on a couple of cars, and we are actually now in the points. So staying out, I reckon, was the way to go. As you can see, we actually get shoved off a little wide by the Alfa Romeo of Valtteri Bottas, which has actually put us back now into P11. So Kevin Magnussen's back past us. Now we're under attack by the other Alfa Romeo, Zhou Guanyu. Cutting back to our POV now. It's the next lap, and we are very close to the back of Kevin Magnussen now, going on to the final lap. If we can get a dive down here, and with the power slipstream, our straight line is actually pretty good for the up against the Haas, although he does start pulling ahead, so we have to take a little bit of a second gap at it. And we locked the rears, and that could have been disastrous. Luckily, we managed to just get it gathered up in time, and as you can see ahead, the two Alpines are going at it for those minor points-paying positions in P7 and 8, I believe it is. Now, going on to the final lap of the race here, going into the Fast S section. We're currently in P10. I don't think we can catch Valtteri Bottas. He's just over a second ahead, but he's looking to gain some positions against the Alpines here, as they were holding each other up. But we've now got Carlos Sainz behind us, as he's actually managed to get past Kevin Magnussen, so maybe those hard tyres are coming to life on the Ferrari. And he's only half a second behind us, so we can't really let up at all any. So we're hoping with a little bit of whatever slipstream we can get off Valtteri here will help us defend the position from Carlos, and with the deployment of all the battery that we've got, although going through here hasn't generally been a strong point for us, and we actually lose the rear and we get a big tank slapper. And so now this is Carlos' shot, and he does take it. So now Carlos has got it around us, and with the power of dirty air, we actually run a little bit wide, and that's completely unsettled the car. So by the time we get to the following corner, we just had no turning grip at whatsoever. As now we cut towards Max Verstappen. He's going to come around and his title defense starts now with a victory in Bahrain. Charles Leclerc and Perez will finish the podium, and in the end, for our debut, all we can get was a P11. I am very, very disappointed that we weren't able to convert that final safety car into a point as a point on debut. Even if it was just 1 point, that would have been amazing. We do still get driver of the day, which is, I guess we can take something home for that, although over the course of the race, we did only start P11. And as you can see, yeah, it was quite the tank slapper. Pretty much, we gathered it a lot better than what we did than the first time where we had the incident with Hulkenberg. And as you can see there, the Red Bull team celebrating a much-deserved victory. I don't think Max actually left the lead of the race, as his only pit stop would have been done under the safety car, so no lead change there, and it's another double podium for Red Bull. So, yeah, we've got our work cut out for us this season. The car is definitely not good in a straight line. Through the corners, it seems to be alright. That's where we've got quite a bit of pace. So that the power of the Red Bull power unit doesn't seem to be converting quite well with our car. So that is definitely something we're going to have to be working on during the season to try and get ourselves into the midfield battle. Because if our true pace is what Iwasa is, we've definitely got our work cut out for us. I think I was a bit lucky in that race with safety cars and accidental dive bombs that ended up working. So, yeah, definitely need to get straight into R&D and try and get this to work as we now look ahead at the results of the race. As you can see there, the podium, Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez. Fernando Alonso ended up getting P4 ahead of the two Mercedes of Russell and Hamilton. Pierre Gasly leading the other Alpine of Esteban Ocon, and Bottas never ended up getting around, either of them finishing only a few tenths behind. And then it was Carlos Sainz who on the last lap took that 1 point away from us. Then as you can see ourselves in P11, Kevin Magnussen in P12, Zhou Guanyu in 13th, Oscar Piastri down in 14th, he started P10, so he's lost a few positions in that race. Sargent, Albon, De Vries, our teammate Iwasa, Yuki Tsunoda, Lando Norris, of course, DNF with that engine failure, and Hulkenberg caught up in the incident with us. And then Lance Stroll was actually classed there as a DNF, even though it said before he was disqualified. So now, driver standings not much to look at, as it's where we finished the race. Constructor standings though, Red Bull's leading, of course, with that double podium. Ferrari's second, Mercedes third, and then ourselves are actually P7, as I finished P11, so I was the first of the non-point finishers, so we get that P7. And for the team acclaim, as you can see, I'm a new driver, so mine will probably skyrocket quite a bit. Iwasa stays around level 6, and our team acclaim also goes up quite a bit, which will be good, because I reckon we have to get it to about a level 5 before we can start getting some more sponsors to help the R&D. As you can see, we've got a busy schedule ahead before we get to the Australian Grand Prix, our home race, the team's home race. So let's get straight into our activities, where we're going to be looking at trying to, I reckon, boost our second driver statistics, as we really need a second driver who can help us get those points in. So it'll be very good to help Iwasa out in any way that we possibly can. We're going to go for some aero department focus to try and help us in the straight line as well, because I reckon the car, there could be a chance the car is quite draggy as well. It could just be the case of we're running a bit too much aero. To try and help get some team acclaim and some cash in, we're going to possibly look at getting a sponsored advertisement in as well, and a funded away team to try and boost some team around. We've got a couple of days left to mess around with. I'm going to leave it though, because the other options are just not really what we're after at the moment. So as you can see, we're now going into the department events, where our presence has been requested, and as you can see, it is to do with our second driver, and we decided to try and help him get a bit more pace and try and get him to go further up the field. And as you can see, we've got a lot of stuff to get through. So we've looked at the activity timeline. We do end up deciding that we might want to have a look at going for it. So we've gone for a sponsors event conference to try and boost the team acclaim again. Looking into the facilities now, we decided to head over to the personnel department, to have a look at the second driver, because as again, I was saying before that we should really try and put our development into our second driver to make him feel more comfortable within the team. So we're going to go for an analysis suite to help him make the improvements he needs to put himself further up the grid. Not to say that the car isn't an excuse. Now, as we go to performance, but we need to help the driver wherever we can. Now, as we go to the chassis department, we're going to have a look at a weight distribution upgrade to try and make the car feel a bit better through the corners, as there was a couple of times it was feeling a little bit loosey-goosey. And now as we head to the powertrain, we're going to look at upgrading our spark plugs, as that should help improve our straight line speed and a bit more power coming out from the car. And as we head to the durability, we're also going to have a look at the ICE improvement as well, and we're going to skip ahead some time now. We're going to skip through all of the fun, boring stuff that we're just going to go all past this and wait for the R&D stuff to get back, and hopefully it all gets approved and none of it fails the R&D. And as I say that, the spark plugs have failed, so we're going to have to go back into the R&D tab, and we're going to try those spark plugs again, and hopefully they get succeeded and they will be able to come before Australia, because Australia's got, again, it's been redeveloped to that section of track across the back of the lake, so we do need a lot of straight line speed. And the other two, durability, well, actually it was a chassis improvement that's failed, so we'll use our remaining R&D funds to try and get that one pumped out again. And then the ICE improvement, we currently do not have enough funds to actually try that one again, so we're going to have to miss that one for the Grand Prix coming up. Although we do now head to the facilities and we go into durability, because we just had a failure from durability, so we kind of need to make sure that we don't have these failures anymore. So we do have a quick look into marketing, but ultimately we'll select durability and we'll go for a quality control upgrade to try and reduce the chance that we have any more of these failures, because it's at the start of the season, it's not very good for us to be having all of these failures, as it really just sets the R&D back behind schedule. So they'll just make it harder for us to become, not just move our way up from being the second slowest team on the grid, but this could really make it hard if we do fall behind in the R&D. We could easily drop to the slowest car on the grid. So that is all for this episode, and if you did enjoy, please make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. I will be trying to upload these on a regular basis. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode, which will be Australia. See ya.